Hello, what is going on, guys? Hockey Guy 1 here. Welcome to my review of The Call of the Wild. So The Call of the Wild is directed by Chris Sanders and stars Harrison Ford, Dan Stevens, and Karen Gillan. The story is basically about Buck, who is this dog living with a normal family until he gets shipped off to Yukon, where he becomes a sled dog delivering mail until he ends up having to end the mail service, and then he gets it's by somebody else, and John Thorne has to save him basically, and try and save him, and then go to this new place beyond the Yukon territory where they can roam free. So the story is pretty good. I mean, they do a good job telling Buck's story and keeping it consistent around. I mean, I like the way they end up telling Buck's story to end up of getting to this new place, and I do really like that, as well as the structure of the story. I mean, the first act basically he's trying to get used to this new sled dog role, and the second act pretty much he gets so off, and then he gets a new and then they have to try to find this new place beyond Yukon. And then the third act, the ending of this movie especially, I do feel like they did a good job with. I mean, they end up separating from John Thorne and getting shot, and they very much I feel like that's a perfect way to end this movie, with them separating like that, as they're kind of going through the whole way throughout this movie, and they end up separating the end, and where Buck gets basically what he needs, and I think they do a good job with that. Pacing, not perfect. I mean, it is pretty good though at times. I mean, especially it's pretty well paced when they go on this journey, but it's definitely not perfect. Buck is a very good character. I mean, there's a lot to him. I mean, at first he's kind of a normal dog, then he's kind of a sled dog, trying to develop and get used to this kind of sled dog kind of thing, and over time and then hears all these calls and so on, and I just feel like his character was done very well. I mean, just how well written this character is what really helped. I mean, he just really develops in more time to realizing he kind of needs to stay in the wild with still kind, and I do think that this kind of character development do a good job, especially with John Thorne's character. I mean, and he also is he's just really caring for Buck. I mean, ever since Buck gave him the harmonica, and he knew as well as just stopped for him the mail for him, and I do really like how they end up doing that. I mean, it's just feels really when they do that, and just trying to just protect him for that just really makes their bond feel like they are doing well and that they are friends, and I do really like the way that is written. I mean, just the way they kind of develop together and go on this journey, and then separating the end is what really helps out these characters, and just how well these characters are. It's pretty impressive. The acting is very good, especially from Harrison Ford. I mean, I feel like the movie gets over and he does as well. I mean, he definitely does feel like he's into this role, and his delivery is definitely on point. In fact, it honestly feels like he is trying inside of his role, and it does feel like he really wants to be there, and just his whole delivery is what makes the character kind of feel like the character. I feel like just about every actor did feel like their characters, especially Karen Gillan. I mean, she didn't really have that much to do in this film, but I feel like for the scene she was in, she did do pretty good. The score is great. I mean, in each scene that they kind of use it, it does kind of feel like the moment. I mean, they do use it very slowly a lot, and I do feel like it does really work. Because there's kind of dramatic moments, really kind of use it slower, and that's what really works with this film. It's just how the score just perfectly fits in well and blends in well with what the scene's going on, and it definitely was make you feel more into the moment, and I feel like they do a really good job of that in each scene, where it does feel much slower when it's intense as well as it can be sound in it. And there's just a lot to the score, and I do feel like they did a good job fitting it in. The visual effects are just beyond great. I mean, just looking at the dog Buck, I mean, just his whole design just feels really realistic, and just the way it's realistic, and even the way he moves is realistic. I mean, just looking at all the dogs that are in this movie, like all the sled dogs, like they look very realistic when they move, especially like in the one scene where he's fighting Spitz, and that does feel very realistic. I mean, especially just the way they end up doing that by its end. Just it's really impressive that they ended up making it look very realistic, and really they did it. And I mean, you can definitely tell they put a lot of budget into making these look very realistic. As each time and it's kind of used, it does feel very realistic. Cinematography is great. I mean, a lot of times they do use wide shots and I do feel like when they do use them, they are used effectively, and it's kind of like showing the scene. I mean, especially like the scene, like again, I'm going to use this scene again, like where Spitz and Buck fought each other. I mean, that scene had very good cinematography. I mean, and it just, like, placement of the camera just perfectly captures the scene well, and I do feel like that they did a very good job kind of like showing that, especially like expressing like when those scenes were like Thorne and Buck were together. I mean, and a lot of times they use close-ups for like show expressions, and I do feel like that's just really good cinematography for this movie, and they definitely did a very great job with it. And the set designs are very good. I mean, I really like so you kind of turned where he kind of looks. I mean, definitely does look kind of realistic and kind of like captures what Yukon territory really kind of looks like. I mean, it's basically what it is. I mean, it's basically like a bunch of snow across the area, and just the way they make the towns look, I really like, as well as just the whole set, like of like the wild thing that they went to. I really like that set, and it does look really good. I mean, and it's just that, and then make it, and then I definitely do like how they did the set design in this movie, and it's definitely does look very good. I mean, I like how it looks like the actual place, and it does really do a good job, like kind of designing it, like the homes as well as just the whole area. They're trying to like pick the right area to do. With that said, this movie is not perfect. I mean, it does have its issues. I mean, especially the story. I mean, I do feel like they put a bit too much into this. I mean, I know it's based on a book, but I definitely think they definitely could have like run it a bit. I mean, there is definitely a lot to the story, and it kind of goes all over the place at times. And like, while I do think it's good, I do think it definitely has its issues. I mean, it does have like a lot in it. I mean, it kind of like shows them in this one thing, and then kind of like jump through Yukon, and there's a sled dog, and then he gets basically he bought by Hal, find his gold, and then all of a sudden he's with Thorne because he had to save him, and then Hal's going after Thorne while they're trying to find this new place, and it's just a lot to me, and which also does kind of affect the structure of it. I mean, it definitely does have its issues in the second and third act scene, and like especially with like the whole Hal kind of thing. It's all kind of random, if I'm being honest. I mean, it's just that I feel like if they just kind of shortened it up a bit, it would have been much better. Like I said with the pacing, it wasn't perfect. I mean, a lot of those problems I had with the story and the structure does kind of tie in this pacing problem. I mean, because there's like a lot to the story, it kind of makes there be problems inside the pacing in the second and third act. So it's just that it's not necessarily perfect because of the fact that there's a bit too much in this movie. And definitely do not like the villain Hal. I mean, he's pretty much just like your typical greedy antagonist who wants this like rich gold, and definitely like, and I guess I can sort of understand like why he wants to kill Thorne, because I mean, he did take this dog and did kind of like trying to tell him something, and the dogs run away from him because of Thorne insane kind of. And I can see why he kind of wants to go after him, but I still feel like he's kind of a greedy villain. I mean, it's just that it's mostly that he's just kind of wants this rich gold, and that's basically why he wants to do everything, and is why he's mad that the dog like ran away, and is why he's mad at Thorne because he took Buck away. And it's just that it just feels like he's just your typical antagonist and didn't really do much new with him. Overall, The Call of the Wild is actually a kind of surprising movie, and it's actually a pretty good movie. So I'm going to give The Call of the Wild an 8 out of 10. That was my review of The Call of the Wild. What are your thoughts on The Call of the Wild? Tell me in the comments below. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.